All right, welcome back. We take you back to outside court now, where proceedings have adjourned for the 5 men accused of killing Bafana Bafana captain Senzo Mayiwa. The matter has in fact been postponed to the 5th of September. Judge Shipiwa Maumela says those who wish to apply for bail should do so. We would have heard a bit earlier on that Titi Tobane will in fact start the process. He'll be consulting accused number 2 to get that process underway. That will be between now and the 5th of September when they commence. I think my colleague Slindelo Masikane is on standby for us. Slindelo, court has adjourned and now the process begins for bail application, at least for accused number 2. Talk to us about that.
Well, it seems that Titi Tobane has officially confirmed his legal representation for accused 1 to 4. You would have seen that exchange between him and Judge Maumela, where Tobane had begun by stating that he believed that there was an error that was made in terms of the last court proceedings when Defo withdrew, and the matter was then postponed for legal representation, saying that he had never withdrawn. But Judge Maumela saying, as the presiding officer of the court and a responsible one, he did due diligence for the accused in order to postpone the matter for confirmation of legal representation, because the accused do have the right to that, of course. And so we then saw Tobane then saying that following some consultations with the accused, they have confirmed that they want him to continue, and also saying that there is a possibility that he's going to bring an application for bail for accused number 2, but also requested to just consult with him before the accused are taken back to their various prisons after court proceedings have adjourned. So at this point, we know that the trial itself, Mfundo, will be resuming on the 5th of September. That's where we're expecting to see the return of forensic officer, as well as the state's first witness, that is Sergeant Thabo Musia. You would remember that Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5 has been consulting and studying the emergence of that second docket, also saying that she needed the time, of course, to be able to see whether it in any way affects her client, and as well as craft a defense for him. So short proceedings today, we were expecting that, but of course towards the end we heard from Judge Maumela, who was then making reference to that letter by Advocate Malisala Defo, where he makes some allegations against the judge and various other counsel here in this trial, asking really if Tobane had anything to do with that letter. But Tobane then making it clear that anything that was written by Defo after his withdrawal has nothing to do with him as the instructing attorney.
I must say it was quite interesting to hear the judge actually traverse that ground and go into that matter, because one would have thought perhaps he wouldn't want to give it more prominence than he should, but we did hear him clarify that in fact his physician is Jesus, and he touched on that.
Yeah, in that letter, I mean, we all have seen it by now, where Defo is accusing the judge of witchcraft, that there was a sangoma in the courtroom that was being used to try and collapse him in the courtroom. But it does seem as though the judge felt it necessary to just clarify that he subscribes to a certain belief, that being Christianity, referring to Jesus as his physician, and of course hearing from Tobane saying that, look, I had absolutely nothing to do with that letter, and in fact apologized for not being in court during that last appearance, saying that from here on out he was the official legal counsel for accused 1 to 4.
And interestingly enough, Advocate Malisala Defo was a no-show.
Well, that's what we were expecting, Fundo. Not really much of a surprise. In fact, what we were expecting was him probably coming to court, even though he was telling us he wasn't going to come. We understand he is actually dealing with his own legal matters. We know that there are a number of complaints against him with the LPC. In fact, he's due in court later this week with regards to some of those complaints against him. But it wasn't a surprise that he wasn't in court, because in this particular letter, he did say that he had a couple of demands that he had put on the table in terms of him returning to court, saying that he wanted the police minister fired, saying that he wanted charges against the accused dropped, saying that he wanted charges against the DPPs of the Gauteng divisions to be charged, certain investigating officers to be charged, quite a number of demands that were made in that letter. And so him not being in court today was actually expected. But I think the surprise really is the fact that Thobane is telling the court that in fact he is now ready to pick up from where Defo left off and be the one to actually argue for the accused in the trial when it resumes on the 5th of September.